So we're on day 4. We're talking about captions and transcripts and a little bit of spacing today. So this previous course that I built, if you're kind of new here, I built a course and I'm revising it with all of the accessibility considerations in mind. Not all of them, but a few like major, easy, low-hanging fruit type of considerations. So this was my course previously. We've already talked about color. We've already talked about control. So you can see that I can't turn off the audio. I can't go back. I can't play. I don't even know what the menu looks like, anything like that. So this is kind of where I'm starting from. And one best practice that I would say that I did not do in this course, because I was really just trying to build it fast and make it look cool. But really, one thing is that whenever you are using a script, so maybe from your outline or your brainstorming document, or maybe even a storyboard, add your script to the notes section, because by doing that, you can create a transcript within your course. So that's kind of one of the easiest ways to get started with accessibility. Besides color, we already talked about color and control, but within my project here, my accessible course, I'm going to show you what that transcript looks like. I showed it in the previous video, but I'm just going to kind of recap that. So here, if you look at my course, in the accessible version, you can go over to the menu, and I've also increased the size of my player settings thanks to Sarah. She had some feedback for me yesterday. So the closed captions are set to 120%, as well as the entire course player font or text is also set to 120%. So that is one thing that you can do differently, is kind of just adjust the sizing of your menu items and your player buttons. Now, another thing is I've opened my menu, but I also have this item called notes. And so here I can see a transcript, and it gives people just another way to consume your content and be able to read through it without maybe watching the captions or things like that. So now let's talk about closed captions. And when we get into closed captioning, one of the best tips that I can say is to plan out what you want to include. So all of your scripting, just kind of plan that beforehand. And if not, just add it into your notes panel. And I'm going to show you. So here is my script here. And all I have to do to get started with the closed captioning is I can insert audio, text to speech, and then I can copy from my slide notes, and then I can just automatically have this button checked to generate closed captions. And that's like the basic way to get some closed captions going, because once you do that, you can go into your timeline and you can actually replace audio from any of these sources. So if you wanted to just change, this was maybe just to set timing and things like that, you can go in and change that audio out with whatever you want to use. Maybe it's a human voice actor, or maybe it's a file that you've downloaded from a different AI voice to text software, or maybe it's just that you want to replace it with one of the Articulate AI audio voices, or maybe even yourself. Hey, you can just record your mic right there. So these are all different options, but it also keeps the closed captioning, which is really nice. So if you were to do that, for this course, I used WellSaid to create all of my voice to text audio. And so within here, I can look up, I just downloaded it straight from WellSaid. So if you haven't used WellSaid before, this is a tool. It's just voice to text, similar to what Articulate has. And Articulate has a lot of really great new voices that can be useful, but I do really like the WellSaid ones that I've used so far. So in this course, I just went ahead and entered my script, created my takes, and then I downloaded those files. If you have a business or enterprise license of WellSaid, you can download the SRT or VTT files along with your audio file, which is really cool. I'm on the creative license, so I don't have that ability, but I'm going to show you a little bit of a workaround. So since my audio has been dropped in, I don't have the SRT or VTT files. I'm going to go up to Manage Captions up here at the top, and you'll notice that the captions have not been generated at all. In order to generate those or have those added, I can use Descript to add that same audio file in here, and then I can export it as subtitles and export as VTT or SRT. And so those are your closed captioning files that you can then upload into Articulate Storyline. So if I were to do that, I can go ahead and import from here and then use my VTT file that I did. Now this is going to automatically populate your closed captioning in a super easy, seamless way. And this is really helpful, especially when you have human voice actors and things like that. There's companies who do this for you, but if you're looking to do this on your own, DIY, this is kind of a really good way to do that. Now, another brand new way to do this is also using Articulate AI. So if I wanted to use the same file, I'm just going to go ahead and manage my captions. I'm going to delete those here. But if you're using Articulate AI, you can actually, AI assistant, I guess is what it's called. You can actually generate your closed captioning directly from here. So it takes a few minutes for your captions to generate, and then you don't have to stay on that screen while it's generating. But the thing that I really like about it is that it's pretty accurate. I've only found 1 or 2 mistakes, but the thing I love, I think I said that too many times, is that you can approve the accuracy before moving on. So if you generate your captions, you can actually approve that it's been done correctly and make sure that it is the correct text and that it's displayed in a way that you really think is useful for your learners, and then approve it. Now you have closed captioning in 3 different ways. I just showed you 3 different ways to use closed captioning. And I heard in a webinar or a course from Diane Elkins one time that closed captioning and transcripts are probably one of the low-hanging fruit, easiest things that you can do in e-learning to make sure that your audience is supported in that way. So definitely recommend doing closed captions. Now, another thing to consider is if you have videos, sound effects, or different people who are speaking. And so within my course here, I didn't talk about this within the controls section yesterday, but this is something that I would have wanted to talk about. So here I get my scenario, and then a little video pops in and gives me a little brief before I start reviewing the email. And so when I play this, I'm just going to play this one for you. Okay, so I have my computer muted, but Michael, our employee, Michael, kind of pops in, he plays the video, and again, there's no way to control it. So there's no controls, and then it disappears. And so I'm not able to replay it. I'm not able to see closed captions on that one either. And it's not a great experience. So instead, what I did in my accessible course is the beauty of accessibility is that you can use the same ideas usually as your instructional design. I want this experience to be where he gets a little bit of a message before the person has to review the content, because then it gives them some context, and then they're able to make a decision based on what this person maybe has said that maybe helps guide their decision. But I don't want to get that out completely just because it was an inaccessible experience. Instead, what I was able to do was add the little player to it. And then I was also able to make sure that it stays on screen for the full time, so people can interact with it in any way that they choose. So I'm going to show you again using the accessible demo. So here, same interaction, your email comes up, and then you have your person who's giving you the context. Now, the audio tells us that, and the closed captioning as well as the transcript tell us that he's giving you a video message, and you can play it to see if this is a phishing threat. So you can go ahead and play it on your own. You don't have to start it, and it's really not necessary for you to start it if you don't want to. So after you watch or listen or consume the video message, then you can continue. And it doesn't matter. It's not locked down in any way. It's just an added bonus, right? And the other thing is I included his name here because this video section in our transcript shows that he's talking and that you can make a choice. So now you have your transcript, it tells us what's happening in the audio, and then it also gives us that audio for Michael as he's talking. The reason why is that you might have two different people. So for this example, I have Maya who's talking. So I wanted to differentiate who's talking at each time. Now, another thing that I've included in this course is sound effects, just really short sound effects. And by doing this, I was able to actually add captions that gives them a sound effect caption. So this is a ping sound that populates. So instead of removing the ping sound, maybe they can mute their audio and they don't want to listen to the ping sound, but they're also getting that closed caption that lets them know that there is a ping sound every time you get something correct or you've identified the phishing threat. Oh, I didn't talk about spacing. So within our notes panel and within the course, you'll notice that the text is kind of close together and it's large enough. The text size is definitely large enough. One thing that I've learned is to make sure that your font is at least 1.5 spacing or at the very least 1.15 to give us some spacing between the lines. And Susie kind of talks about why this is beneficial as a standard. And she wrote that people who have low vision may find it easier to read text if you increase the size between paragraphs and lines of text. And then also people with cognitive access needs, such as dyslexia, may also benefit from the spacing. And then also, this one is something that you don't really think about, but people who have visual stress, which causes visual distractions and discomfort, can make reading difficult and tiring, especially on a screen. So just keeping those spacing a little bit larger is going to be really helpful. So I'm going to go back to my accessible course and show you that the spacing is much larger for these, as well as the paragraph spacing for our transcript, because we want to make sure that all around the spacing meets requirements. But if you are looking into that Design for All Learners book, chapter 23, Typeface Text and Captions by Alan, is a really great way to kind of get familiar with captions and see what a VTT file looks like, and then kind of understanding what the different types of captions, subtitles, transcripts, what all of those comparisons are. So if you have any questions, please let me know. If you see anything that I could be doing better, please also give me some feedback either through my messages or even comments. I'm open to feedback because I've told you before, I'm not an accessibility expert, but I'm always striving to do better and make my courses more accessible in any way possible. But tomorrow we're talking about a really big one that I'm sure you're curious about. It's focus order and the accessibility checker and storyline. So thanks for watching.